I've had this edger for probably about 10 years and I just haven't taken it out of storage, so it's been sitting down in my basement. And this year I thought, you know what? I'm going to use that edger and I'm going to see if it saves any time. They're doing it by hand. I bought this used from a friend's moving sale, and so it was set up to edge with their specs. And I just took it out and I, ran across the edge of the garden, how deep that was, and if that was going to work. And no way, absolutely not. I typically edge with a half moon edger, and I go the depth of the edger. And so I checked this one to see if there were any adjustments, and I could. I was able to adjust it down to, I think it's 1.5 inches or 2.5 inches. And once I made that adjustment, I went back through, and so there's a screw there at the front where I was able to reset the front wheel so that it would cut deeper on the edge of the garden. And I took another pass at it, and like I said, this is my first time using this, and I'm really just trying to get a feel for how this edger works. Now, the grass is pretty wet, so it kept getting stuck in the mud, kept getting stuck in the edger, which wasn't awesome. But after I went in with the electric edger, I went back with my half moon shovel and just took just went along the line to pick out any of the grass along the edge that it needed to be removed. This is probably one of my easiest beds to edge. It's also one that had been frustrating me the most, which is why I took it on first, and tried to put an edge on this bed. And once I got done with the first section, you can never stop there. Luckily, this section of bed is pretty short compared to some of the other ones, and so I was able to make pretty quick work of it and get it done in a short period of time. And so I just took the rest of the bed, and I went over this twice. Anyone who's ever edged a flower bed knows that you never quite get it right the first time. So you put an edge on it, you realize I'm not straight anymore, and then you go back and you do it again. And so I think this is the first time that I went across the bed, and then I just went back another time. I have a lot of creeping grass in this bed, and so I wanted to, like I said, it's one of the easiest ones to do, but it also has a lot of grass coming into the flower bed, and so I wanted to get at it first and put a good edge on it, as well as kind of get a feel for the edger. I don't know if you can quite tell here, but there is a line where I had taken the electric edger along, and so I'm not kind of full stepping in a step there and making a cut in the grass, which sometimes is the hardest part when you're edging a bed. Not necessarily where you're going to put the line, but really taking that cut through the grass. And so I really enjoyed having that kind of pre-cut when I went back to remove the grass. And so I did what I could that day, and then I just loaded it all up in the wheelbarrow and put it back on my compost pile that I have at the back of my property. So typically I would have used this half moon edger, and I would have stepped an edge all the way along the bed. And what I found is that because the electric edger I used first, it was a lot easier to put this half moon edger in and clean up the edge of the bed. And I really like to use it. I think I'm going to try it on the rest of my beds this year. I have a lot of feet to do, and I don't necessarily want to go over them twice, but I did find that in the sections where there wasn't a ton of grass creeping into the flower beds, it did work easier to use this edger. And so I'll probably do that again. I guess I'm just really glad that I finally pulled this out of storage this year and took it and used it on my flower beds.